I'm joined by Frances Katzen, who runs the Katzen team at Douglas Elliman. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
Before we get into what we can expect in 2024, let's look back at 2023. What was it like, and were you surprised at all with 2023 and how it played out?
I was actually surprised, Stephanie. I think that what we saw was a resilience, irrespective of crippling rates in comparison to prior years. We saw 2.5% and 3.25% jump to 8%. So I think people thought the world will literally end in real estate. And what we actually saw is opportunity and market share driving to people who could do cash or could muster up and get creative about getting their financing and taking opportunity.
Well, you make a good point because I tried buying a house in 2023 and I did lose out to a cash offer. So you're not wrong there. But of course, some people aren't selling because they're sitting at a 2 to 3% interest rate. Are we going to see that change at all in 2024?
I think we are. I think we've already seen it. I think Christmas really did come early this year because when the 10-year Treasury yield dipped below 4%, we immediately saw the 30-year fix reduce all the way down to 6.5 from 8. And now we're seeing 10-year interest only at 5.8 to 5.5. And if you have a preferred lender, you can get a quarter of a point off. And so now we're going to start to see a very big change. People that have been priced out, entry market buyers, I think you're going to see a very big movement back into ownership, given how overpriced the rental market has been in general.
Yeah. And speaking of 2024, let's talk about it a little bit. What are going to be the differences from 2023 and what are some of your predictions?
I think we're already seeing it. We saw a huge capitulation in the market on pricing overall. We saw a lack of inventory down 20.8%. And now what I think you're going to start seeing is people climbing out of their little holding pattern and getting creative about taking opportunity. I think you're going to see more sales. I think it was very frothy in 2023. I think you're going to see a little bit more of a steady stream based on the fact that the rates are now coming down.
And that can mean more competition, right?
It certainly can mean more competition. I think it's going to drive up demand, and I think you're going to see faster absorption. I think you're going to see a holding on pricing, and I think you might even see a little bit of a climb on pricing in general.
Well, and some people, home buyers and also sellers, have been kind of in this holding pattern. In 2023, they were like, what do I do? Do I sell? Do I buy? I don't know. And they wait. Is 2024 a good time to buy?
It could be. I think as soon as there's too much rate adjustment, we're going to see a soaring of pricing. I think right now is that beautiful sweet spot to go in where you get a little bit more for your money in terms of the rate. Remember, you can always refinance the rate. You can't change your purchase price. And so I think there's the inherent value and that sort of risk versus reward. I think if you can stomach a higher rate for a period of time, knowing things are adjusting. I mean, the Fed met 3 weeks consecutively at the end of last year, and they did not increase rates.
For those that are looking to buy a home and are still stuck in a large city with low inventory, what would you say to them who wants to get into this market sooner than later?
Be patient, timing. I think there is product. I think it's a question of whether or not we can stomach doing the work. Most of the units that are not selling are ones that need a little bit more work. I think most people are cost prohibitive as it relates to doing renovation and work. But I think there is such an upside if you can stomach it to really get a great deal. I also think co-op markets have been hit tremendously hard by general reasoning that they don't have enough of the requirements to please a typical board. It's either the debt to income is too high or their performance in the stock market devalued a lot of their cash. And so they're just not feeling like they can take opportunity there. And those are the units that are the most advantageous in terms of pricing right now.
What about for rental market?
The rental market for the first time in November reduced after 27 consecutive months of booming ridiculously high. I think our one bedrooms were hitting as high as 5,000. We're now seeing the rental market reduce by 2%. But the average price per square foot of rental market pricing has actually gone up. I mean, it's $100 a foot for triple mint renovation, it used to be $80. So I think we're seeing rents come down. We're also seeing concessions go up. Concessions were usually none during 2021 and 2022. And now we're seeing concessions hit 14%. So there's opportunity there too.
Looking ahead at 2024, what would you just say are the biggest predictors for 2024 in your opinion?
I think that the real estate market is going to outperform expectation. And I think what we're going to see is people who've been sidelined trying to time it are going to land up feeling very sad that they didn't actually take action sooner. That's my gut.
Well, Frances Katzen, this is very interesting. As someone who is trying to buy a house in the Los Angeles market, I love the takeaways. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up here?
I think that there's no reason to be frightened of taking action now. I think what people are realizing is it's like when COVID hit, people thought the world was ending. We just didn't know what was going to happen. And I think what we took away from that was, wow, the people that actually got in during COVID made a killing. And I think it's always, 50-50 hindsight. And I think this is that moment to really go against the grain, because once the grain is running in the same direction, that value proposition is no longer, in my opinion.